Hello, fans, and welcome to the Utah Hockey Club postgame show with the Two Line Pass podcast. Another great game in the books, and I'm Randon, and alongside my co-hosts, Dustin and Ryan, we will break down all the goals, saves, hits, and highlights. Welcome to another postgame with the Two Line Pass. Welcome in, fans, to the Two Line Pass postgame show. Disappointing finish for your Utah Hockey Club as they fall 4-0 to the Ottawa Senators. And after they beat Boston, I thought they had just picked up right where they left off, and then it all went to hell, Dustin. It all went to hell. What do you think, bud?
So yeah, it was probably about the first 10 minutes of that game, and at one point I sent a tweet saying Utah is in complete control of this game, and it feels like it's just a matter of time before they take a lead. And they not only never took a lead, they never scored. And it was just a 4-on-4, which, I mean, is a situation where it should benefit Utah because of how fast they are and how skilled they are. Like, the more skaters you take off the ice, the more it lends itself to benefiting Utah. And they gave up back-to-back goals in that same 4-on-4 stretch, and just the game went away. We've talked in the past about how Connor Ingram, he won't lose you many games, and he'll play well enough he'll win you some games, but for the most part, he's going to play well enough to not lose you games. And Connor Ingram was bad tonight. Like, there was, I believe it was 4 goals on 8 shots.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they made the change coming out of the first intermission to start the second period. They went with Vejmelka, who played well, but admittedly Ottawa with a 4-0 lead was not pressing too much, but he did make some saves. But just all around, not a great performance. I was trying, like you said just before we started talking, like you try and find some of the good to take away from this, and the pressure and control that they showed early on in this game was impressive, but it does nothing if you can't find a way to score. So not too much good to take away from this one outside of the first 10 minutes before it all just slipped away.
It all went downhill fast. I'd give you the recap, but it's hard to say because there was not a whole lot going on in the second and third period. All the action really happened in the back 10 minutes of the first period, and it all started with like you said, the 4-on-4 from hell. So Utah historically very good on the penalty kill, and given our success in overtimes in the 3-on-3, like you said, the 4-on-4 with that space, it should lend itself to our style of game, and it did not. And not only did it not lend itself to our style of game, Ottawa completely took advantage, scoring 2 goals in that 4-on-4, and then almost immediately, it's not immediately, but scoring on their only power play attempt, going 1-for-1. And then 7 seconds left in the period, finishing us off with the dagger. And then in the second and third, again, Utah puts up a good effort for about 5 minutes and then kind of just stops playing. And very frustrating game to watch, especially with that short term where you'll see this in all sports and no different in hockey, just these short bursts of time where everything goes wrong, and that's the difference. And it doesn't matter what happens in the rest of the game. Utah had this one in the bag. Not, figuratively speaking, I thought they controlled the game for the most part, and it just didn't. Obviously, the only thing that really matters is the scoreboard, and Ottawa dominated in the scoreboard category.
Yeah, I guess one small takeaway is it got better against Boston, where Boston committed more penalties than Utah, and this one, Ottawa only went on 1 power play. There were 3 penalties called against Utah, but 2 of those 3 were both teams took a 2-minute minor, so you had 2 4-on-4 periods, so they only had to kill 1 power play.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a bright spot. It's just there's not too much to talk about afterwards in a game like this, because once Ottawa takes their 4-0 lead, the style of hockey that they play changes.
Mm-hmm.
They're no longer attacking and actively trying to they're not playing an aggressive style of hockey anymore, because they don't want to create a turnover in the middle and give Utah a breakout. So they're playing more reserved, try to keep Utah out of the zone, and not attacking as much. So it's such a different style of hockey that there's not too much to like openly talk about how well Utah played versus Ottawa, because the game's just different at that point, and it's not how it's going to be played in any other game this season, unless, heaven forbid, Utah fall behind by 4 goals again. So it's just there's not much there to break down in a game like this. It's a tough one to do a post game after. Just, I don't even want to call it a beatdown, because it's not as if Ottawa like severely outplayed Utah. I mean, if you just showed me if you showed me that first period and just conveniently cut out those 4 goals, I would have guessed Utah. If anybody was in the lead, it was going to be Utah, because they played better for almost the majority. I mean, for the majority of that first period, and just could not get anything past. I don't know what got into Forsberg, because he's he's not a I'm not going to say he's a bad goalie, but he's like, his save percentage is like 86%, and he gives up about 4 goals per game. And then today he just turned into Patrick Waugh in net. It was incredible.
Yeah, it's funny they say he's you're not going to call him bad, but you won't call him good, and he's not. He's a backup for a reason. We miss Linus Ullmark, who's one of the top goalies, and Ottawa, traded a lot to get him from Boston when Boston was looking to go another direction. But Linus Ullmark was phenomenal with Boston, and he's looks to be a very good goalie. We didn't get him, and it was like, this is great. This is really going to set up Utah for good. But no, the amazing Anton just comes out of nowhere looking like he's the Vesna Trophy winner. And like we said, Connering, just these are the games that you got to just have a short memory, right? You got to just go back to the drawing board, and some things to clean up. Obviously, turnovers and takeaways, we give the puck up too much in our speed, and are trying to, if you watch the games, we're trying to do these finesse passes and these drop back passes, and they're going to be beautiful when we score on them. You're like, oh my, it was so magical, the beauty of it all. But it's leading to too many turnovers and giveaways and the offensive zone, neutral zone. And if you watch the way Ottawa played, even through their little offensive spurt, it was almost as if they were doing the old rope-a-dope. They were weathering the storm, and then counterattacking and capitalizing. And that's how they played the entire game. There was never a moment, even down 4 goals, you would never say this, right? You're down 4 goals. There was never a moment where I truly thought Ottawa was actually in control of the game, despite being up by 4 goals. Utah just controlled the game, and just Ottawa put pucks in the back of the net, and that's what you got to do. Josh Doan had multiple good looks and couldn't get the puck to go. Schmaltz Keller had multiple looks, couldn't get it to go. Logan Cooley's speed, he's going to get it eventually, but it was unfortunate. He just couldn't get into a finishing spot, and that was, I felt like, a lot of it was, you get to the sprint and you trip at the finish line, and that kind of sums up the way Utah played this game. It was very fast paced, very controlling, and they just couldn't finish at all. Now, whether that's Anton being amazing or if that's Utah just getting unlucky a little bit. No posts though, so
I mean, no posts, but yeah, you mentioned Doan. He had that one breakaway where he goes like forehand to backhand, and he beats the goalie.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, most of the time he's going to net that shot, but the ball the puck kind of turns up on its side and angles its way towards his stick, and that causes it to go up and over the net. And just most of the time, as long as that puck stays flat, he's going to get that up and over the blocker of Forsberg, and he's going to score in that situation. Every once in a while, just the puck doesn't bounce or roll your way. It's just one of those games, and like you said, it wasn't pipes, which Utah has had their fair share of this season. But yeah, just a combination of some bad luck and good goalie play, and just not putting the shots where they needed to be to go in, which is, I'll say, frustrating. But Utah's a very talented offensive team, and even down 4-0 going into that first intermission, like I'm like, okay, Utah can come back from this because they have no problem scoring, and it never worked.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's going to be games like this. This is not going to be the only game that Utah loses by 2, 3, 4, even 5 goals. This is not going to be the only game where they don't score or score only once. It's not going to be the only game where Connor Ingram doesn't look like the greatest goalie in the league. Like, it's going to happen over the course of 82 games, and it just happened to happen here. And you know what? It's only Utah's second loss. It's only the second time that they've third loss, but first
second in regulation.
Yeah, but it's the only the second game where they haven't at least taken 1 point away from it, and Utah's still in a good position. So yeah, this is one where you get back to the locker room, you tell the fellas to forget it, you burn the tape, and you move on to Colorado.
Yep, absolutely you do. And other happenings around the Central. So Winnipeg continues their early streak, 6-0. But Dallas got beat by the Buffalo Sabres. So if we want to look, Ottawa's not bad, is not as bad as the Buffalo Sabres. So it could have been a whole lot worse, right? The Dallas Stars lost to a really bad team, and we lost to a, on paper, not as great team, but good team in terms of their records. So we're still right in the hunt, only a point back from Dallas and Minnesota, and Winnipeg, we're only 2 or 3 points back from Winnipeg. So obviously it's still so early in the season, but it's still fun to look at that as if, because there was a thought in my head as like, so against in the New Jersey game, if you think back to the New Jersey game, so we're down by 3 goals with 5 minutes left, right? And he pulls the goalie. Tierney pulls the goalie, and it's the third game of the season, and he's pulling the goalie. 5 minutes left, down by 3. And so to me, though, that says that type of mentality is every single point matters, even this early in the season. And so I was wondering if we were actually going to see that. And I feel like maybe he feels like 4 goals is just too much.
Maybe it was 3.
But yeah, 3, because a 3-goal lead is the most dangerous lead in hockey, they say, but the 4-goal lead is not a concern. So, but it is what it is, and these games are going to happen. We're going to forget about them. And like you said, Dustin, we've got the Colorado Avalanche coming up on Thursday at home as well before we go back on the road to Los Angeles. So speed against speed. And if I was a gambling man, which I am, and I'm losing my overs, I bet you Liam O'Brien's not in the lineup again, because there's no real reason to go with him now when you have decided consistently, I think, that you are going to put your fastest, most skilled players on the ice, even if there is a potential for a physical game with, again, Utah got dominated in the hits category, and so that's going to be the theme all season. But it really is sad.
They only dished out 9 fewer hits than Ottawa tonight, and Ottawa had 38. Utah had 29 hits, so they stepped it up there a little bit. Maybe that's just the anger of falling down 4-0. Now they want to start kind of dishing out some hits and whatnot. But I had some takeaways about. What's that?
How do you not drop the gloves when you're down by 4? Nobody wants to do that.
I think McBain wanted to. McBain got kind of like
He was chipping.
Tussled up a little bit a couple of times. I think he wanted to drop the gloves, but it never happened. It never came. I mean, if you're not going to drop your gloves to protect your goalie, you're not going to drop your gloves because you're down 4-0.
Yeah, no kerfuffle breaks into a fight, unfortunately. So it is. Yeah, there was a prime time to spark the team. I always say that, you're going down, you're down by 4 goals, and a fight can really spark the team. And it is the case that we're just not that team. We are not that team, and that's fine. That's fine. We've seen fights before in this, so there will be a time and place for them. But this team is not going to be the team that looks for the fights, that I think that is really signaling 100% a turning of the page from a rebuild to a contender, and that because that's what contenders do, right? Contenders don't just drop the gloves every chance they get. Contenders play the game of hockey and attempt to not take penalties.
And the good news, there is some good news on the horizon, which is that the Colorado Avalanche are the suckiest bunch of sucks that have ever sucked, and we're winning that game. So you've only got to wait, what, two days until you experience another Utah Hockey Club win. So that's a good way to get that sour taste out of your mouth.
And the 2-line pass will be on site. The Utah Hockey Club undefeated when the 2-line pass podcast attends the game. So just so you know, you guys got that locked up. If you want to go gamble your mortgage, don't do it. But it's a lead pipe lock, right? It's a lead pipe lock. We got this one in the bag. But yeah, an unfortunate loss tonight, guys. 4-0. Dustin, any final thoughts before we sign off on this one?
No, just drinking a nice, crisp, refreshing Mountain Dew Baja Blast Zero Sugar. Baja Blast to celebrate the recent promotion of Bajakian in the Utah Utes program, and then Zero Sugar in honor of how many goals we scored tonight.
Wow, I feel like I want a Mountain Dew Baja Blast Zero Sugar. That's incredible. And maybe you should too, fans. That's right. Go to your nearest grocer and get a Baja Blast Mountain Dew.
You hear that, Pepsi? Look at that. Just look at that ad read.
Oh, that's just perfect, guys. That's just perfect. Guys, we'll see you on Thursday for the post game. Maybe we might not. We might do some thoughts. We may take the break with because we got to get home from the game safe, so might not have time to do the post game, but we'll let you guys know. But I hope you enjoyed the hockey game tonight. I hope you enjoyed the post game show with Dustin and I as we have fun bringing it to you. Once again, your Utah Hockey Club falls 4-0 to the Ottawa Senators. Back at home on Thursday against the Colorado Avalanche. Guys, thanks so much for listening, and you enjoy your night. Thank you for listening to another episode of the 2-Line Pass podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at the 2-Line Pass. You can follow Dustin at Highlights Ute. You can follow Randon at TLP Randon and Ryan at Carnes Ryan 0420. During the off-season, new episodes of the podcast drop every Wednesday with bonus episodes throughout. And during the season, we will have our weekly show plus game day episodes so you don't miss a minute of the action.